The problems that we are about to face are unprecedented. Right now, the American people are struggling. The U.S. is at its breaking point. And all of this is happening right now, right before our eyes, and there's very little that we can do about it. Now, in today's video, I want to address what is happening, how the American people are going to be impacted, and what this means moving forward. Here's what I can tell you, that we are going to see a very, very difficult year here in 2024. So, let me break down what is going on. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So why is the United States at its breaking point? Well, it could have something to do with the two wars happening, one in the Middle East and one between Russia and Ukraine. It could have something to do with Hezbollah now threatening the United States and potential attacks here on U.S. soil. It could have a little bit to do with China as well and their threat on Taiwan and the Philippines, but it actually has to do with the U.S. southern border. What we are now experiencing is an unprecedented amount of illegal immigrants here in the United States. This is actually taking away from the benefits that we pay into as taxpayers. This is turning into a crisis. Now, many people have asked, many people have said that they are not against immigration, but the numbers that we are seeing right now is too much. It's not sustainable, and experts believe that this is going to cripple the United States for years to come. Now, I want to show you a few different stories because somebody asked me, what are the economic ramifications of this border crisis? Well, there's actually many different consequences of this. Here's one of them. Look at this. Denver, they announced, and this was just the other day, that they're going to have to slash their budget by up to 15% due to ongoing illegal immigrant crisis. We now know Denver, it has to figure out a way to come up with about $180 million in order to accommodate this immigrant crisis. Now, Denver is just one city. We also have New York. And look at this, because somebody asked me this. How can you say schools are going to be impacted because of illegal immigrants? Schools will not be impacted. Yes, they will. Schools are going to lose their budgets. They're not going to have as much funding, which means less teachers. If there's less teachers, it means overcrowded school classrooms. If you have an overcrowded classroom, that usually means you have there's less education per student, which means those students are not being taught in the way that they should be, because there's one teacher for every 35, 40 students. It's just too much, and that actually hinders us moving forward. But look at this right here. The White House says that New York City migrants are displacing students, and this is something that New York City needs to answer to. I want to read you the exact statement here. Look at this. Okay? This is from the White House correspondent from Fox News, Peter Doocy. He's asking Jean-Pierre, what kind of this whole thing. So it says, a whole high school in New York is having remote classes today because the building was needed to house people who came into this country illegally. So what is the president's priority in this case? Is it the migrants or is it the students? Okay. Well, here is the response. Look at this. It says, so let me just clear this up a little bit. So yesterday, New York City informed us that as a precaution, they would temporarily relocate migrants staying at Floyd Bennett Field to a nearby high school. As of this morning, all migrants have returned to the facility at Floyd Bennett Field. And so anything specific as to the program and why they decided to do and all of the specifics to that, I would certainly refer you to New York City for any additional questions. So pretty much just pushing it off. Now, I want to read you this as well. It says, then, Jean-Pierre added that When it comes to education, migrants, the economy, the president deals with multiple issues all at once. That is his job. It says there are multiple things happening all at once. And as it relates to this particular question that you're asking me about New York City, that is something that New York City needs to answer to. That is a process that they took, so they have to answer to that. So, we don't, and again, is President Biden the one behind this? No, this is from New York City. But when the White House comes out and says that because of New York City displacing students, even for one day, that's the troubling thing, is even for one day, students have to go to virtual learning so that migrants can stay in that school. Here's the problem. Back during the whole pandemic, one of the things that we learned was that virtual learning, online schooling, does not work. Yes, it's more efficient for the time that you spend there, but does it work? Do you get the same education level? The answer, according to statistics, is no. So pretty much what the Biden administration was saying is, or New York City was saying is, they are going to prioritize migrants over student learning. Again, I bring this up because people have asked, how is a migrant crisis going to impact education? Well, this is one case. Also, we are seeing that when schools don't get the funding, they have less teachers, which means more people in classrooms. Again, less education. The level of learning is just not as high. That's just the education part of it. But again, I bring it up because this is why the United States is at its breaking point. Because now citizens, voters, taxpayers are all questioning the motives behind the current administration. What is going to happen? Now, I can tell you a couple things. Right now, some cities, some sanctuary cities are saying, we are continuing to accept migrants into our city. You can send them this way. You can come this way. Well, that's exactly what the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, did. And guess what? Look at this. New York City is suing 17 charter bus companies for $700 million over transporting asylum seekers to the city from Texas. They're actually suing those charter buses. And the other thing is, right now, Mayor Eric Adams from New York is restricting migrant buses even entering into New York. So guess what? Some are taking the train. Some are taking, private transportation. That's what's happening to get into New York City so that then they can get shelter. They could potentially get some food, right? That's what's happening. But here's how this is going to impact our economy. If we continue to see this, if we continue to see no response to this southern border crisis, what's going to happen is more and more illegal immigrants are going to come into the United States. Not only that, more people are going to see what is happening here in the United States, think that this is better than what they have back at home, and so then they're going to make that trek, whether it's up from the south, whether it's from another country, don't know, but they're going to start making that trek, and as they do, more people will enter into the United States. This means we will see most likely lower wages across the board, and the reason for this is because as more migrants enter into the United States, and some do seek asylum, they are able to get a work permit. What's going to happen is as all these people get work permits, now they can start to work. Guess what? They're not going to start at the top and be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. No, they're going to start at the bottom. And as they start at the bottom, what's going to happen is they're going to undercut all the other workers. So now the company is going to start to bring wages down to accommodate for the bottom. Okay, that's a problem. Well, as we get less wages, guess what? More people coming into the United States means there's an even greater housing shortage. Doesn't matter if you're trying to buy, for renters. Guess what? Your rent is going to go up because supply is staying the same, demand is increasing, which means your rent follows demand. That's a problem. Also, less food at the food pantries, which means more people have to go to the stores and buy food. So things like top ramen, rice, beans, just inexpensive food, even bread, is going to increase in price. That's another concern. But as more people are wanting shelter, this also means that the budgets from those cities are likely going to have to increase to accommodate the influx of migrants. Now, what does this mean moving forward? Well, here's what I can tell you. If President Biden and Republicans can agree on this border funding and policy bill, here's what's going to happen. Right now, the funding aspect of it is in question. How much funding do we actually need? Well, here's where some are saying that this is going to create a problem. If we see additional federal funding or federal spending, if that increases, guess what? We're either going to have more debt, or the most likely outcome is we have to take that spending out from somewhere else. For instance, what we do know over the past couple of days is that the Speaker of the House and President Biden agreed on a handshake deal. They're going to agree to a government funding bill of $1.66 trillion for fiscal year 2024. With that bill, it's going to also include another $10 billion of pretty much taking $10 billion from the IRS to fund parts of that bill. Guess what? The Biden administration has been telling us for years that we need to increase funding to the IRS because that is the way we are going to pay down our national deficit, by increasing the amount of taxes we're able to gain by what the IRS calls tax cheats. So, a lot of people are questioning what the motives are right now. All I can tell you is that right now, this is happening. The United States has reached its breaking point, and now we don't know which direction we are going. We don't know who is leading all this, and we don't know what the outcome will be in the end. All I can tell you is, again, I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All you gotta do is two things. First, hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed today's update. The second thing, click that subscribe button and tick that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I will see you guys on the next one.